Greetings. I'm here right now to talk to you about narcissism and pathological narcissism and the difference, as well as the word narcissism itself and its historical significance in mythology. Armed with information, armed with knowledge, how easy it is to get out of the clutches of the narcissist. But first you have to know what to look for, okay? Now, narcissism is something that is a very popular word du jour. It dilutes the very real reality of pathological narcissism and narcissistic abuse. What is pathological narcissism? Well, first, let's take a look at the word itself from the dictionary, shall we? So, I have a dictionary, which is very old. Very, very old, from the 1930s. Gratification from admiration of one's own body. Also narcissism. It's a myth, a youth who for his indifference to the nymph Echo was doomed to pine away for love of his own image. Okay, well, none of that describes truly what narcissism is. So, narcissist, he was a beautiful man, and all these people loved him, and he was so beautiful, he kept saying no to all the ladies. And then what happened is the gods and goddesses decided to play with his mind, and it was the great goddess Nemesis, which means righteous anger. And what she did was undertook to bring something about, and it was, may he who loves not others love only himself. Now the truth is, pathological narcissists actually hate themselves, and their loathing is so great that they can't stand love, and they hate themselves so much that if you love them as an innocent person, they hate you for loving them, because since they are seriously flawed in their minds, if you love them, you've got a problem. Now, want me to tell you a little story about how sick a narcissist is? I've had a whole string of them. I'm an expert. So this was before I ever made a mistake in this eye of the narcissist. If you make a mistake in the eyes of your narcissist, they will punish you indefinitely. When you've discussed the matter, when you thought you buried the hatchet, they will go out and dig it up, and it will be bigger than before. And you will say to them, honey, we talked about that. I thought we settled it. Remember? We came to an agreement. But no, that axe will continue to be ground and ground and ground again. Why? Because they're sick fucks. Now, before I did the narcissist wrong, which was move in with him, I visited him. And I suggested that we stop drinking so much beer, because I said, you know, drinking is okay, but drinking every day and then drinking to excess, maybe we should slow down. I don't know what happened, but he started punching himself in the face. He kept punching himself in the face. I'll never forget it to this day. And because I didn't know what I was dealing with, a broken, pathological, sick, damaged human, I was aghast. And everything I said to him, honey, I'm just suggesting we drink less. Poof, he would bash himself. He went to work the next day like he was in the Fight Club. You know that movie with Brad Pitt and Ed something? That one. I couldn't believe, I'm telling you, I was so programmed by my pathological narcissistic mother, who I didn't know was, that I kept trying. Gosh, if I just loved him more, if I just make sure I don't say anything hurtful, like don't drink so much, he'll stop hurting himself. Well, in this other particular thing, he said to me, I want you to cut my hair. And he pulls out those things, buzzers, which I'd never wielded in my life. I'm not a professional hair care person. I know skin. So what does he do? He shaves his whole head off in front of me. That is sick. That is pathological. So no sooner had his black eye cleared up than he goes and shaves his head off. Because I said to him, I've had a couple beers, I've never wielded one of those things, maybe we should do it in the light of day. Just like he always wanted to create arguments after he had had some drinks, beer. And I said, we need to talk about this matter in the light of day. A narcissist has to have conflict and confrontation to feel alive. A pathological narcissist, that is. Self-love is healthy. Narcissism is considered in psychology an over interest in one's looks, where one could actually become aroused by their own body. That is not to say that self-pleasuring in a healthy manner for women, I don't know, guys, I'm not Mr. Stroke-Off, I'm a female, okay? It does not mean that if you self-pleasure as a female out of necessity to maintain the flow, full abstinence is not a good idea for us, but using no electronics, girls. Batteries will ruin you. It should only be with imagination and manually. And anything that would require batteries is no-go. Enough of the sex ed. Let's get back to narcissism, shall we? So basically, the narcissism, the myth, and pathological narcissism have nothing to do with each other. Because a pathological narcissist problem is that they have a deep self-loathing for themselves. And because it is so catastrophic for them, they project it out to you. An abnormal tendency to derive sexual gratification from admiring of one's own body. And it's 100% not what you experience with a pathological narcissist. A narcissist is easy to identify, and they're easy to control. I'm gonna get my notebook. They only need one thing from you, but it looks like 4. And this is how it goes. Control, fuel, character traits, and residual benefits. Now, in the case of my pathological mother, this meant control, total and utter control over her daughter while I was growing up. Total and utter control. She told me who I was. She told me what to do. And when I found out that I was actually brilliant, smart, a genius, actually I tested a genius in an IQ test, I was 12th in my class in GPA out of 127. So that's at least the upper 10%, 12%, 11%, whatever that is. Whatever 127 is divided by whatever it is, I was 12th. That's in the upper 12th percentile. I had all A's and B's. I got a C once and it devastated me. She wouldn't let me take the SATs more than once. She wouldn't let me take the SAT preparatory classes. She wouldn't let me apply to any schools for scholarships or grants because she said to me, we are going to claim you on income taxes and we're going to pay your first year It cost $2,000 in 1981 for me to go to the College of Charleston. $2,000. I'm sorry, everything's expensive now. But then I paid the rest of my way. And that's a lot of money to a young girl. So I had to pay after that. They gave us 1 year, one taste. And the control. The narcissistic mother said, you are not to claim yourself on income taxes so that we can claim you as a dependent. And thusly, I couldn't get scholarships or grants or loans because they made way too much money. And did I see any of that? Did I see any of that money? No. I remember getting a check for $25 and going, wow, I can eat this week. Okay? So, a narcissist partner. I had one, then the other, then the other. I had 3, all different kinds. We'll talk about that sometime. But right now, let's just talk about what they need. Control over you. Period. The next thing would be for her residual benefits. Narcissists live long lives because they feed off of the juice and the energy of others. Now, I'm one of 4, and I'm the only sibling that sees what's going on. Brother, sister, me. Oldest sister I don't talk to because she's toxic. She became the mini-me of my mother. And I had to stop talking to her for my sanity. She's the most broken. She was the scapegoat. I was the invisible child. I didn't matter. Other videos talk about that. I'm not going to go into it right now. It hurts to think about. But I'm not invisible anymore. And by God, we're going to identify these creatures so that the good people of this planet can separate themselves from them so that they can self-destruct and die off. It's possible. Residual benefits. What does my mother want from me now? Whenever she calls, leaves a message, she's expecting me to call her back. She sometimes will call and then not leave a message and expecting me to call her back. And I have decided that I am going to keep a record of it on the calendar, and I will not speak to her any more than I would speak to my own loving children. I have 2 children, a daughter from a narcissistic marriage. He was the lesser narc. He was the first marriage. And a son, her brother. They were born 17 and a half months apart, and I mothered them like a fierce mother. Oh, one of the things that I'm proud to say, everyone should know this, sharing is a 4-letter word, even though it's spelled with 5 letters. Because it's used as a weapon by children. You have to share. Give that to me. You have to share. Do adults share all their toys? No, we don't. So I said to the children, we're going to be going to the park, and you can bring your sharing toys to the park. The things and your toys that are precious to you, you may leave in the car or here at home. You do not need to share these with all the other children. Sharing is an option. I didn't use that many words for the kids. I just said, we're going to the park. Kids will want to share with your toys. Only bring the things you want to share. Something special, you keep it in the car or at home, so that children are not forced to do the virtuous thing by young children who already have learned how to manipulate. They start young. So, my mother no longer has control over me, and she no longer gets the residual benefits of a loving daughter. So some say narcissist never apologized. He apologized. Then, but he continued coming home angry. He continued criticizing me. that one little brief moment of like redemption washed away, just washed away. Memory forgotten, the mother of his children. And he's still criticized, and it hurt every single day to be treated like I wasn't special, to be disregarded. The little things that I did that were wonderful to be looked down their nose at. The folded linens, the flowers on the table. He was disgusted by the beauty. What did I do to deserve this? He sneered. And I was going to die of cancer if I stayed in that relationship. And even though when I divorced him, he said to the kids, "Your mother divorced us. What are we going to do? Ryan, tell her." And he's like a little boy. "I need my mommy. I don't want you to divorce us." And I was like, "Husband, what did you do? What did you say? They're children. I am divorcing you, not them." That's how sick these motherfuckers are. That my children are what they are is because I decided to keep my mouth as shut as I possibly could. I bore the smear campaign. I bore the blame. That's a mother's love. And as Jesus said on the Sermon on the Mount, you should be known by your fruits. And my son's a good apple, and my daughter is brilliant. And she might not be a warm and fuzzy, but boy, is she kind and smart and nice. And I like them both. I love them both very much. And I have a relationship with them that is true and authentic. And they can tell me how they feel, and I can tell them how I feel. And we have mutual respect. That's a relationship. I never had that with my mother, and I never will, because she's pathological. These are the 4 things a narcissist wants out of you as supply: control, fuel, character traits, and residual benefits. So my mother still wants control. She doesn't have it, so now she wants residual benefits. I gave birth to you, therefore you'll always love me. I'm your mother. You'll always love me, love me, love me, love me. Answer my phone. So, what do you do about the narc male? If you're a female and you find yourself with one, let's talk about the character traits. It first starts off as mirroring. Now, I took the Myers-Briggs, whatever that personality test is, way back when, probably 2018, because I didn't actually hear of it before, and I decided to take it because I heard of it. I go, oh yeah, what kind am I? I discovered I'm an INFJ, which is introvert, feeling, intuitive. I'm a judging person based on things, but I'm not judgmental. I can read a person's expression across the room. I know what they're thinking in a second. And I'm an advocate. So I want people to do their best. So a narcissist, if you're dating one, and you're like, oh, I took the Myers-Briggs, or is it Briggs-Meyer, whatever, you know the test. And I'm an INFJ. They will say, I'm an INFJ too. They will mirror. They want your character traits. They want your goodness, your jovialty, your happiness, your joie de vivre, joie de vivre, your love of life. Whatever it is, they want it. Okay? Those character traits, they're looking for them. They want them. Your creativity, they want it. That narc male that punched himself in the face, well, during the lockdown thing of 2020, I went to be with him, and that was a mistake. But at the time, I was not practicing good self-care. Self-care and self-love will cure you of all the ails. Practicing good self-care means if you're addicted to something, get unaddicted. But I drank too much, okay? I wasn't an alcoholic, but I did drink more than I needed to. And it made me weak. And I also was like, what the F, man? Because I couldn't find any good men. And it was like, well, the devil I know is better than the one I don't. And it's not. Being alone is better than being one of these bozos, these wicked souls, who are actually quite powerless. If you don't give them control, if you don't give them fuel, if they don't mirror your character traits because you're not there, and they don't get residual benefits because they're not somebody you have to keep talking to. I keep a relationship with my mother at arm's length because I love my father, and even though he's part eunuch because she castrated him, and he's afraid of getting yelled at and never came to the plate, never defended his daughters, never ever protected us from her because he was pussy whipped. And I can't even get his story. I was like, Dad, tell me your story. What's your story? Can you tell me your story? Your version? And then I go, oh, I guess my mother's yakking in the back. I'm like, okay, Dad, maybe I should ask you yes or no questions so that woman won't, I don't talk like that to him, so that you can answer. And I would ask in the future, I haven't had the chance yet. So, did your father control your mother? The answer is yes. She was an overbearing narc. So narcissism is genetic, apparently, but I don't believe so. I have a theory. You know that asteroid belt out there? They destroyed their planet, and now they want to destroy ours. And that's why it's everywhere. That's why world leaders don't care if the whole world blows up. Because if they can't have happiness and joy and goodness in their life, neither can you. But guess what? You can. And your spirit and your soul will go on. We are infinite. We are from Source. We are God's children. We are from the Mother, Father, God. And these vile souls are destructive and are not worth our time or our attention. So that's what it is, fuel. I've never got discarded, okay? I was the discardee, and they were the discardees. The reason being, exceptional beauty. I had exceptional beauty. I actually provided so much for these narcs. I'm a superpower. Yes, I'm a superpower, and I know that. But young girl, do not challenge yourself and stick it out. I kept thinking I could do it with this guy. I'd rather be with the devil I know than the devil I don't know. When I went out into the dating world and saw what was out there and freaked out, and I still had hormones. You still have all these hormones, and you just want to have sex. Don't use a vibrator with batteries. Just use your muscles. You can do Kegels. You can learn to do sexual exercises to maintain your juices, to afford you what you need to avoid entangling with these hideous beings that deserve each other, but keep them away from your precious goods and your life and your light and your joy. So fuel is attention. Guess what? Negative attention is better than no attention. There's all this also this. They love fighting. They love confrontation. It makes them feel alive. You hate it. They love it. Now, the Bad Daddy Narc is the last one. So Bad Daddy has gone onto my channel. He has commented. I have removed his comments. And I believe it gives him fuel. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't give a F-U-C-K. at all. Because I'm finally speaking my truth so that other people can benefit, especially the young women whose lives can be crushed and your creativity and your vitality can get zapped out of you. And the last thing you want to do is to procreate with one of these things, because they will try to ruin the minds and lives of your children. So you do not want to have children with one of these hideous beings. And don't feel sorry for them. That's a trick. So, fuel. Attention, any kind of attention is better than no attention. That's all they want. Control, fuel, character traits, and residual benefits. They have an inner void. It can't be filled, ever. So they try to fill it with you. Now we're going to go talk tomorrow about more about that, about whether or not they have feelings. Not like you do. The types of narcs there are different types. And they all do similar things for control. We call it ghosting now, sheltering, ghosting, silent treatment. I used to say, I kept a journal with my second narc husband. He gave me the cold shoulder so much I warmed up to it. With the bad daddy, I said, your silent treatment is my silent treat. But the truth is, it sucks, and you never want to be in a relationship with one of these. So, the little dweebs that comment out there, I got one, and I removed it, because I'm in control. It's my channel. Wrote, you're the narcissist. I removed it. Because that's what happens to the sweet, well-meaning empaths and other heart, fuzzy, warm people like myself who go, oh, am I being too self-centered? And they're like, yeah, you are. You should think me, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, oh, gee, because you're a good person. This is what you do. Really look at their face. Really study them. Do you want to know how to really tell if a person's a narcissist off the bat, pathologically so? You just use the magic NO. That is the big giveaway. More later.